I hope you're still in the positive mood. Today, we are going to learn the novel section, Dear Mr. Kilmer. Okay, let's start. Tuition online, Peris Mengaji. English 1119/2, Section D, novel Dear Mr. Kilmer. Okay, before we start, okay, I think you know this cover of the book very well. Okay. These are some interesting facts that I would like to share with you. Joyce Kilmer in the novel is not a fictitious character. Alfred Joyce Kilmer, born December 6, 1886 and passed away on July 30, 1918, was an American writer and poet, mainly remembered for a short poem entitled Trees in his book Trees and Other Poems. He enlisted in the New York National Guard and was deployed to France with the 69th Infantry Regiment, well known as the famous Fighting 69th, in 1917. He was killed by a sniper's bullet at the Second Battle of the Marne in 1918 at the age of 31. He was married to Ellen Murray, also an accomplished poet and author, with whom he had 5 children. So Joyce Kilmer in the novel is not a fictitious character. How to answer the last question successfully? Read the novel. There's no other way. That is the only way. You have to read the novel. Do not depend on reference books. Do not depend on summarized texts, because you will not have enough evidence to answer the questions. The word evidence there is being underlined, because it is very important in the literature section. Dear Mr. Kilmer has only 132 pages, 10 chapters. It means that it is not a very thick book. It is a small book. In fact, it is called a novella because it is a small novel, small in size and short because there are only 10 chapters. Okay? All right. So what do? Why is that I want you to read the books? Sorry, I mean the book. I want you to read the book. I want you to read the novel. And then when you read, you give a name to every chapter. You name the chapter so that you will be able to remember the events in the chapter in the future. So you have to remember the important events, the themes, the moral values and characters in each chapter. And you have to understand that each chapter is related from one to another, from chapter 1 till chapter 10. Okay, they are all related to one another in the sense of in relation to the events, to the themes, moral values, and also the characters. Okay, all right. All right. These are some of the questions that we usually see for Mr. Kilmer, Dear Mr. Kilmer, and also for other novels, okay? Based on the novel that you have studied, choose one character that shows appreciation towards family ties. Give reasons why do you choose him or her with close reference to the text. Notice that, close reference to the text. One must stand for what is right. With close reference to the novel you have studied, describe events that support the statement. And question number 3, bravery is to stand up for what you believe in. With close reference to the text, explain how this statement can relate to one of the characters in the novel. Alright, in almost every question you will come across the word close reference. Okay, this is what I mean by you have to read the book so that you can have the evidence. If you do not have the evidence, if you do not write the evidence in your answer, this is where you will get less marks. Although your SPM exam is going to be in March next year, you have to prepare from now. So you have ample time, you have a lot of time to read the book. All right? You have a lot of time to read the book. And you must read it. Okay, now, how to answer the novel question? Dear Mr. Kilmer. Okay, use this technique. A, P, E. Right? What is A? A is answer. Look for the answer. Understand the question. What does the question want you to write? What is the question asking you about? Okay, that is the A. And then P is the proof. Look for the proofs. Remember the chapters. Okay, and E is evidence. This is where the question says with close reference to the text, the evidence. Arrange the evidence in chronological order. Remember the events. It means that you have to write the evidence. Which one comes first? You're going to write that one first in your answer. Okay, do not jumble up and write the first one and then the third one and then you go back to the second one and then you go back to the 10th event. Okay, you have to write in chronological order which one comes first. Sequencing. Okay, all right. So A, P, E. A is the answer, P is the proof, E is the evidence. So every time you come across a question, quickly ask yourself, what is the answer? What is this question asking me? What am I supposed to do? All right. Is it one team? Is it many teams? Is the question asking me about one character or the question asking me about two characters or more than two? Okay. Is the question asking about event or the question asking about events? Be very sure of what the question wants you to do. Right. And for the proof, this is where you have to remember the chapters. That is why I said that it is better for you to give a name for each chapter. Name the chapter so that you know what happened in that chapter. And then the evidence will come in one after another. You have to read the book. Okay? All right. How do you write the answer? Okay, how do you write that? There are three possibilities of writing the answer. One, you can use all past tense. Two, you can use all present tense. Or three, you use mixed tenses. Your opinion in present, the evidence in past tense. Okay? But you cannot write in this one paragraph, the past tense and the present tense all mixed up there. Okay, that is where you will get less marks for the language. Remember, in this section, 10 marks for the content, 5 marks for the language. Okay? All right. So, choose whether you want to answer everything in the past tense or choose everything in the present tense. Or you can choose the mixed tenses where you give your opinion in the present and the evidence in the past. Okay, because the book is in the past tense, maybe it will be much easier for you to remember. Okay. All right, look at that. Chapter 1. Give a name to the chapter. Setting. What month is it? If you have read, you should know what is the month, what's the season, what's the state, what's the town. Richard Knight's physical traits. In the first chapter, you were introduced, okay, to the main character, Richard Knight. Okay, how old is he? How does he look like? Right. What is his appearance? And then Richard's family members. Describe them briefly. There was Pa, his brother Gus, his sister Angie. The reason Richard refused to shoot the deer. There is a specific reason why he refused to shoot the deer. Sorry. 2 moral values in chapter 1. Explain briefly, meaning that you give the moral values, okay, and explain how it has been displayed, how each value has been displayed in chapter 1. Okay, all right. So that's chapter 1, the setting. Okay, can you just guess very quickly the month, the season, the state, the town? Okay, Richard Knight's physical traits, his age, his appearance, and he looked like somebody. His family members, and the reason, and 2 moral values. Okay, now let's go. So chapter 1 is the hunting trip. I name it the hunting trip. The setting, the month is February. It was winter because there was snow, right? Okay, the state was Iowa, the town was Turtle Lake. Right, Richard Knight's physical traits. He's 15 years old. He's tall, slender, pale. He looked like his mother. Remember, his mother died when he was 7. Okay. Richard's family members, describe them briefly. So do it like the one that I have done for Richard Knight's, okay, physical traits. Okay. So describe Pa, Gus, how does he look like? Okay. Angie, how does she look like? Okay. The reason Richard refused to shoot the deer, right? Okay, he felt he had no right to take the life of another creature. You see the word felt there. All right, I put that in upper cases. He felt he had no right because that is his opinion. He believed that, okay, he had no right. Okay, it was his principles. So put the word felt there. Okay, it might not be a fact for others, but it is what he believes in. Okay, he believed that he should not kill other creatures. Okay, he felt he had no right to take the life of another creature. Alright, 2 moral values in chapter 1. You explain briefly. You can talk about the moral values in chapter 1 is kindness, where you talk about Richard, where he refused to shoot the deer. He purposely misfired. Okay, although he was in very good range to kill the deer instantly. And that is one moral value there. The next moral value is that you can talk about respect. This is when you talk about Pa and Richard. Okay, Pa respected Richard's decision that he did not like hunting, and Richard respected his father. He spoke politely to him. He did not say harsh words towards him. Okay, okay. So you see the 2 moral values there. So you're going to do this for all the chapters. Give a name. Okay, look for the important events. Look for the setting. Okay, so that if you do this on a piece of card, there will be 10 pieces of cards, 1 for each chapter. So you just can flip through, and then you'll be able to remember each chapter very, very quickly. Okay, okay, that's chapter 1, the hunting trip. Now, the chapter you go to chapter 2. The chapter 2, I named it the poem, the poet, and Hannah's book. What's the month? What's the season? Okay, what kind of student was Gus? So if you read, you will be able to answer that Gus was a person who loved sports. Okay, not very much into studying. Okay, what kind of student was Richard? He was diligent. Okay, his favorite subjects were English and history. The name of the English teacher at this school, she was Mrs. Hanson. She was a very kind person, very understanding, caring person. Okay. The 2 troublemakers in Richard's class were Abner, Louis, and Harry Carver. Don't mix up the names. Okay. Mrs. Hanson read a poem written by who? Joyce Kilmer, entitled Trees. Richard borrowed a book from her entitled Trees and Other Poems, written by the poet. Describe Hannah Sharma. Okay, in chapter 2, there were descriptions about Hannah Sharma. Her hair was like the color of corn silk. Okay, she's good looking. What happened to her? Why? Okay, so in chapter 2, somebody scribbled her book with the word dirty hands. Why? Because she was a German descendant, and the students disliked her because they thought she was, and she and her family were German spies. When Richard arrived home after school, he did his chores quickly. What were they? Okay, that is when he picked the eggs and also feed the horses with hay. Okay, he wrote a letter to the poet who worked in. Okay, that's the name of the newspaper in New York Times. Richard wrote poems, but he kept it a secret. Why? Okay, this is a very important question. Why is that he never told anybody that he wrote poems, though he loved writing very much? It was because he knew that people would call him a sissy. So it is a very hard time for him to deal with people's perception about him writing poems. Okay, so that's chapter 2. That's how you do it. Okay, you can start doing this immediately after this. Okay, now chapter 3. I name it the cut and the fight. The important events, the sympathy card. What happened? Before, during, after. What do I mean by that? So you are going to explain that this is, you have to understand that the card before means that Hannah's parents' tavern was vandalized. Okay, and Mrs. Hanson, the English teacher, brought a card for the class to sign to show their sympathy. Okay, and during means that when she asked her students to sign the card, they refused. Some of them bluntly told her that they did not want to do. Some of them wanted to sign, but they were afraid of the popular students. Okay, okay. But Richard was the only one who signed the card. So that was what you meant of the during. After was that when Mrs. Hanson was disappointed. There was only one signature. Okay, and Richard offered, okay, to take the card, to send it personally to the Shermans. So before, during, after, because the sympathy card has a story behind it. Okay, the fight. Okay, there was a fight between Richard and the 2 bullies. Okay, who started? Okay, how did it start? They were at first just verbal abuse, but later when they attacked him physically, he had to defend himself. So that's chapter 3. You can call it the fight and you can call it the cut, because the two events are very, very significant in chapter 3. Alright? Okay, now chapter 4. I call chapter 4 the letter. Why do I call that? The important events, okay? The letter from Joyce Kilmer. Okay, he received the letter from Joyce Kilmer. You have to understand, for a farm boy who lived in Iowa, to receive a letter from a very famous poet who was working in New York. Okay, that was something very exhilarating. Okay, maybe it is like how you receive a tweet from someone famous. Okay, all right. Okay, family's reaction. This is when he told his family that he received a letter from Joyce Kilmer. Gus said he did not know who Joyce Kilmer was, and he offered for somebody to read, and Angie said she was not good at reading. Okay, so they did not even bother about his happiness of receiving a letter, and they did not give any encouragement to him. Okay. He later showed the letter to Mrs. Hanson, the letters and the poems. Okay, she was impressed and encouraged him to keep on writing poems. Okay. Chapter 5, the secret. Okay, important events in chapter 5. Richard told his secret, read the letters from Joyce Kilmer and his poem in class. Hannah changed the last line of his poem. Mr. Kilmer volunteered to fight in the last war so that young people like him need not fight and need not fight and die. So sorry about that. Need not fight and die. Okay, sorry for the typing error. Need not fight and die. Sorry for the error. Okay. And the characters. Okay. Then when you read, you have to remember the characters, the physical traits, the attitude, their behavior. For example, Richard Knight. Tall, pale, 50 years old, looked like his late mother, wrote poems in secret, diligent, helpful, caring, patient, and also a loyal friend. So you do this with all the other characters as well. Okay, okay. And then you also have to think of the themes. Okay, some of the themes would be patriotism. Okay, love for family and friends. Okay. Challenges in life, okay, friendship, war. Okay, so these are some of the themes that you come across when you read the story Dear Mr. Kilmer. Okay. The moral values. So the moral values, we should accept people without prejudice. Okay. We must have courage and resilience to face life. Integrity, truth and honor are also one of the moral values in this novel. Understanding and compassionate. Okay, so these are the moral values that you find in the story. Okay, let's try to answer this question. Integrity is doing the right thing no matter what is being said. With close reference to the text you have studied, describe the events that support the above statement. Okay, right. So, A, the answer. The answer you are looking for is the moral value integrity. Okay. The P, the proof, that would be the events. Okay. Event number 1, the card incident. Event number 2, the fight. Event number 3, the patriotic program. Event number 4, the patriotic program's conflict. Point 3 and point 4 are related. And point number 5, the conflict with Pa. So we are going to see how integrity is being displayed in these 5 events. So the evidence would be the characters, okay, their actions in their events. That is how you are going to do this. A, P, E. The events 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the characters and the actions in the events will prove that integrity is there. All right. Introduction. Name of novel and answer. In Dear Mr. Kilmer, one of the moral values that I have learned is we should always have integrity in whatever we do. The quality of being honest and having strong moral principles is clearly seen in the events that involve the main character, Richard Knight, his English teacher, Mrs. Hanson, and his friend, Hannah Shermer. Okay, so integrity means the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. So it is very, very dangerous if you do not understand the meaning of the word integrity, because you are going to give the wrong proofs and you are going to give the wrong evidence. Okay, it is very important for you to understand the meaning of words given there. Proof number 1, the card incident. Richard Knight was a young boy who believed in doing what was morally right, though the people around him thought otherwise. When Hannah Shermer's parents' tavern was vandalized, Mrs. Hanson, his English teacher, brought a nice card for everyone in the class to sign to express their regrets and sympathy. Unfortunately, most of the students refused to do so because they thought Hannah and her family were German spies. She was arrogant and her family did not care about the war between America and Germany because she was a German descendant. That's a very important point to remember, that Hannah was a German descendant. Some students wanted to sign but were afraid of the school bullies. Richard was the only one who signed the card, though his classmates gave threatening remarks. He believed Hannah and her family were innocent and they were loyal Americans. He even volunteered to send a card to the Shermers, and he wrote a beautiful note praising them as good citizens of Turtle Lake and very fine Americans. So integrity in this event is shown by Richard Knight, in the event where he was the only one who signed the card when the others refused to do so. Okay, that's integrity. Proof number 2, the fight. On the way to Hannah's home, he was blocked by Abner Lewis and Harry Carver, the name of the two bullies. At first, it was only verbal teasing that Richard ignored. He was very patient. But when they called him an out-and-out traitor for signing the card, Richard became angry. Okay, when they physically attacked him, he did not back off, but bravely and skillfully fought the two bullies until Abner pleaded not to hit him. Richard let go of Abner because he did not want to hit anybody. Such a kind person. This incident proved that Richard was a person with integrity when he did not hit his classmate, though he had the chance to do so. How many of us would let this chance go by? Not many, I presume. After all, he was a strong boy as he worked on the farm with his father. He was merely defending himself and his dignity when he fought Abner and Harry. Not that because he loved fighting. It was just defending his dignity. Okay? All right. So, this is one of the incidents where I really have respect for Richard Knight. Okay. Proof number 3, the patriotic program. Mrs. Hanson decided to put on a patriotic program to help sell Liberty bonds, which helped finance the war. She told her students she would play the piano and they would sing songs like Over There and Goodbye Broadway and Hello France. That's evidence. Okay, just remember 2 of the names of the songs there. You don't have to remember all. On top of that, a girl would be chosen as Lady Liberty and a boy as Doughboy. She said she would choose the students for the 2 roles based on the best essay, How We Can Help the War Effort Right Here in Turtle Lake. She said with a stern wag of her finger that it was not going to be a beauty or popularity contest. True enough, she chose Hannah Shermer and Richard Knight as the winners, much to the dismay of the popular students. This event clearly shows she was a teacher who put integrity above everything else. Okay, so that's the patriotic program where Mrs. Hanson decided to help by sending the Liberty bonds, okay, to finance the war. Okay, remember the name of the 2 songs, Over There and Goodbye Broadway and Hello France. Goodbye Broadway. Broadway is in America, and Hello France because they are going to go to war in France. Okay, all right. That's proof number 3. Proof number 4, the patriotic program's conflict. Mrs. Hanson's decision to choose Hannah as Lady Liberty angered the students and some parents. They came to see the principal and demanded she chose somebody else for the role. She was very upset about it and finally chose another girl just because Hannah declined the role. She tried to talk Hannah out her decision, but as Hannah felt strongly about it, she respected her decision. Hannah gave up the role because she felt she had started a little war in Turtle Lake, whereas her essay was about peace. She believed her father was right, that there were times to fight and times not to. Hannah proved to be a person with integrity in this conflict. Richard was unhappy when Hannah declined the role because he believed she had won the role fair and square. After Hannah explained her reasons, he decided to turn down his role as doughboy to show his support for his friend. They told Mrs. Hanson about it, and she was amazed of them because she felt they deserved the roles. She was proud of their decision. She then chose the runner-ups of the essay competition, Millie Wright and Herbie Wojcinski, to replace Hannah and Richard. So the integrity being shown by Mrs. Hanson, Hannah and also Richard in this event, the conflict after the patriotic program was being introduced by Mrs. Hanson. And so you go to proof number 5, the conflict with Pa. When Richard turned down the role as doughboy, his father wanted to know why he did so. He told his father he thought it was the right thing to do because Hannah deserved to be Lady Liberty, but everybody ganged up on her, and that was not fair. When his father told him that Ike Lewis said Richard did that to side with the Shermans and being unpatriotic and hoped the Germans would win the war, he bravely but politely denied the accusation. He said he wanted the Allies to win, and the Shermans were as patriotic as everybody else in the town. Their son Otto was an American soldier fighting in France. When his father said the Shermans were not our people, Richard replied that they were Americans and they paid taxes just like anyone else. He told his father it was wrong to say he was siding with them against the rest of the community. Though his father disagreed with him, Richard believed he was right. He was sad because his father listened to Ike Lewis. So you see, point 1, 2, 3, 4, the proofs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all in chronological order, and also the evidence are in chronological order. Which one comes first should be introduced first in your answer. So the proofs are in chronological order and also the evidence. Okay? Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you come to the conclusion where you say, having integrity is a very important moral value in life. In fact, we should be honest and have strong moral principles in whatever we do. So this is written in the present tense because you are giving your opinion. So you answer the question completely. Remember, 15 marks, 10 marks for the contents and 5 marks for the language. Okay? Okay, now, there's another one. Be brave in facing life challenges. With close reference to the text, explain how the characters in the novel have shown this quality. Okay, A, the answer is bravery. The B, okay, would be the characters. So you're going to write about Richard and Hannah, okay? And you're going to give the evidence, okay? That would be the events and the incidents which show bravery. Okay. Richard Knight loved writing poems but afraid to tell people about it. Richard loved poetry. He wrote beautiful poems about nature and about people, about environment. At first, he did not tell his family and friends about it because he knew they would call him a sissy. Finally, he told Mrs. Hanson, who was very supportive. Later, he was brave enough to read his poems in his class. He kept on writing until his poems were regularly published in the Turtle Lake Newsweek. Okay. All right. He showed a bravery in writing poems. Okay. Richard's friendship with Hannah faced challenges. When Hannah's tavern was vandalized, Richard was very upset about it. Okay, you can write. Richard was the only one who showed sympathy towards her. Richard was the one who did something the others did not want to do. He was the only one who signed the sympathy card. He offered to send the card and he wrote a beautiful note praising the Shermans. His brother, classmates and people in Turtle Lake called him a traitor. Okay. But he went on being friends with Hannah because he believed, it was unfair to treat Hannah and her family in that way. Because he believed that Hannah and her family were fine American citizens. The friendship made him understood people from other backgrounds, because Hannah was a German descendant. Okay. Number 3. Richard was brave to face physical challenges. After being the only one who signed a card to show sympathy to Hannah, Richard decided to send the card personally to her. Many students made rude remarks about him, but he ignored them. On his way home, Abner and Harry made fun of him and blocked his way. They made fun of him, provoked him and called him a traitor and started a fight, but okay, what happened? Okay. Alright, finally his classmate begged, for him not to hit and promised not to trouble him again. Richard bravely defended his dignity. Alright. Hannah accepted the challenges being a German descendant in America. Hannah did not have many friends at school because she was a German descendant and America was at war with Germany. One day someone scribbled dirty hand on her book. She cried bitterly. 3 days later, her parents' tavern was vandalized and she was very, very upset. This affected her emotionally. She did not go to school and was quite harsh when Richard came to visit her. At first, she refused to accept Richard's friendship, but later realized Richard was honest and they became good friends. Later, she declined the role of Lady Liberty in the patriotic program, though she won it fairly because she wanted to avoid disharmony in Turtle Lake. It was a brave thing to do. Okay? Alright. We must be brave to face all the challenges in life to become a respected person and achieve success. We should not give up in the face of adversity. Okay? Right. Thank you. We are in this together. This is the poster from Signature Market. Thank you to frontliners for your dedications and sacrifices in the battle against COVID-19. You are already part of history as Malaysian heroes and heroines. We are here, we are with you. Please stay safe. This is from Sarawak Forestry Department, www.sarawakforestry.com. Okay? And this is the most special one. Thank you, Datuk Dr. Nur Hisham bin Abdullah, the Director General of Health. May Allah bless you always. Please stay at home. Be safe. MCO, kita jaga kita. That's all for today. I hope I've given you some examples. I hope that you have learned from the examples I've given you. Sorry for the typing error just now. And let's pray that all of us will be safe and this COVID-19 pandemic will end soon. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.